This program is underwritten in part by
Janelle Encarnacion Art. Carlos Furniture, a family-owned business, has been providing furniture, appliances, and household accessories since 1997. The flagship store on St. Croix and another on St. Thomas are both open for in-store shopping and are able to ship to various locations in the Caribbean.
and viewers like you. The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters.
Welcome to the Bookcase. I'm your host, Shawna Richards, a sometime writer and a longtime reader. I invite you to join me as we explore the bookcase and celebrate Virgin Islands authors and talent. Each week on the Bookcase, we'll introduce you to a local author and learn more about them and their work. A storyteller lives in each of us, and I'm so excited to give our homegrown storytellers a chance to tell their story. Tonight's selection from the Bookcase is Quadrille, the official dance of the U.S. Virgin Islands, and I am honored to welcome its author, Bradley Christian. Bradley, welcome to the Bookcase.
Thank you, Shanna. Good to be here.
And thank you so much for joining us this evening. So I'd like for us to start with you telling our audience a little bit about yourself.
Okay. My name is Bradley Ellington Christian. I was born on July 3rd, Emancipation Day, a historic day in these Virgin Islands. I work for the Department of Conservation and Cultural Affairs, now Department of Plant and Natural Resources, for the past 36 years. I worked at Fort Frederick Museum. I started out from a museum aide and worked myself up to an associate curator, and then move on into a cultural specialist in DPNR, and that is where I retired from DPNR after 36 years of service to our government. I used to be involved in going out to the different schools and teaching quadrille, the art of quadrille and the history of quadrille to schools, not only schools, but different organizations as well, and passing on my knowledge of quadrille, head tying. Sometimes I'm called to go to the school to talk about local cuisines, food and stuff. So I have been very active in preserving Virgin Island history and culture. For a number of years, I've worked with Alpha Kappa Alpha over the years for the debutante balls. I enjoy doing that. I've traveled throughout the Caribbean, the United States, went to Washington, D.C. and took part in the Folklife Festival in 1990. And 1991, former delegate Randy Lugo took the Synchro Heritage Dancers to Washington for the 4th of July parade. Under the federal administration, the Heritage Dancers traveled to perform for the first opening of the tourism office, the first tourism office in Aarhus, Denmark.
So quadrille has been a big part of your life.
Very big, very big.
Who taught you how to dance quadrille?
Well, Shana, a lot of people know I was raised by my grandmother, the late Anita Danielle Christian, and she had an organization called the Bright Hour Circle, which was sort of like a cultural organization, but they catered to mostly the poor people in the community that didn't have anything to do, and when they died, they didn't have anybody to bury them. So her organization sort of took care of that, and she kept a lot of balls like Madras balls, Snow White, Evergreen, and they used to feed the poor people, like at the poor yard and the waterfront, and different people, they would go out and do big food sales and feed them on different holidays. So in my grandmother's house, there was always something culturally going on, and that's where I sort of started out, being raised by her and seeing her involved in cultural activities all her life, and I just walked in her footsteps.
So you wrote an entire book
Yes.
about quadrille. Is this the first book that you know to be written about quadrille?
No, there was one did by the Milton Payne group. He wrote a book, but I would say that our book, the book that I wrote, is more intense because his has a lot to do with the dances of the original quadrille. But in this book, we speak more of all of the dances, and we interviewed a lot of cultural bearers, and pictures of them, documentation of them is in this book that other books don't have. So we were glad to do that part of it because a lot of times we wait in the Virgin Islands when it's too late, and then our culture bearers pass on and there's no documentation as to what they have done.
How long did it take you to write quadrille?
It took us about, I say us because there was several other people involved with it, it took about 8 to 10 years.
That's a long time.
It is a long
What
time.
took so long?
Because it was hard, and at times we felt we wasn't getting anywhere with it, but we just had to stick with it. We pick it up, put it down, pick it up, put it down. And then I said one day, no, this is taking too long. We got to bring this to a finish. And then we just decided, let's go ahead and finish the book and get it over with. But basically, it took a long time because there was a lot to do and a lot that went into it. And we had to make sure that what we were doing, it was properly documented the right way.
And the person who opens this book will see so many photographs that many decades old.
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
And a lot of familiar faces.
Yeah, definitely. You know, a lot of people don't remember Mr. Adam Peterson. He was known as the Grand Flow Master. And we have a picture of him and a history of him, how he fell off walking in the sugar field, how he got injured. And from then it's when he went to Harbor Greek Home, where he lived until he died. And a lot of people went to Harbor Greek Home, including myself, to learn quadrille from him. So I would say that I learned from the best or from the master, which would be Adam. I've learned from other people as well, but my main training came from him.
So when you were writing this book, where did you know how to start? Is it a complete history of quadrille?
We just started by doing a complete history of quadrille, a complete history of the dances, and the interviews. You know, we were able to go to Wim Garden, interview Mr. Wilford Pijo, who I believe lived to be 101, and he was still in his right frame of mind. He was not quadrille caller, but he had a band, and he was the flutist. He's one of the people that Stanley Jacobs learned to blow the flute from. So it was interviewed like people like him that was able to go and actually sit with him, talk with him. Mad Andrews, who also lived at Wim Garden, she had a band of her own. I was able to interview her as well. So a lot of the people in the book that we have interviewed are no longer living today. So I take pride in saying that I'm happy that we did that, because the documentation that we have in this book, if it wasn't for what we did, we wouldn't have it today, it would have been gone.
Is that what inspired you to write this book?
Definitely. Yeah, because a lot of times college students go away, and in college you ask them information about the native dance and the history of the dance of where it came from. And they would call the library, and the library had nothing on quadrille. So the library would say, well, you know, call Mr. Christian, and I'm pretty sure he could help you out. And so then the parents would call me, and I would be giving them all this information, and they would say to me, wow, you gave us so much information, and it's just out of your head. Why don't you write a book? Because I think it's very important, because today or tomorrow you gone, all this information goes with you, and there's nothing. So I said, I would think about it, and I started thinking about it, and I said, for future generation, I think a book should be written about quadrille, and that's how this came about.
So the person who reads quadrille, by the time they finish the book, will they know how to dance quadrille?
If they don't know how to dance quadrille, but it's very simple, and we have, for each figure, we have a demonstration, and the demonstration shows exactly how it should be done. So I would say yes, they should be able to learn, and we explain what balancing means. Balancing is when the gentleman positions himself in front of his partner. There's two types of tourney. Tourney is when the gentleman and the lady turn each other around with a complete spin. And the other tourney is when you're promenading and you say tourney, you turn in the opposite direction, tourney, you turn. So all of that is detailed explanation in the book. So I would say they shouldn't have no problem whatsoever dancing it.
Have you thought about doing an audiobook?
No, but people have asked me, why don't I do an audiobook? So it's something to think about, definitely. People even asking me to, I'm pretty sure you're aware that the Virgin Island Madras that they have, I'm the one that did the Virgin Island Madras. I created it. So people asking me now to do a native costume for St. Croix or for the Virgin Island. And I'm telling them I will see, because I have designed a lot of costumes. I design all the costumes that the heritage dancers wear for our different balls and stuff. And the costumes are very, very elaborate.
They are.
Yeah.
Just the head ties alone are very elaborate.
They're not just a simple skirt. They elaborate with a lot of lace and stuff in them. The costumes sometimes cost the ladies close to $200 to sew one costume, because there's so much detail in it,
In your lifetime, you've seen the Virgin Islands have an official dance, quadrille, and have an official madras. What does that mean to you?
I think it means a lot to me, because in my lifetime, I never thought I would have seen that the Virgin Islands have a madras fabric that we can call ours. And I never thought I would have done it, to be honest with you. And I could tell you how all that came about. I have traveled to a lot of different Caribbean islands to buy madras to bring back. I served on the 150th Emancipation Commission during Governor Snyder. And I had went to the different Caribbean islands buying madras. And the first thing they will show you is the national fabric. And I said, but why every Caribbean island have a madras that they can say is this own, and we Virgin Islands that don't have something that we can call our madras? And that really bothered me that we don't have one. So came back to St. Croix, I keep talking about it, and one day Mary Dima, who was the owner of Queen House Gallery, she had a cultural fair, and she invited me to do my head ties and display them. So I said to her, Mary, I would like to talk to you about something. I said, it's about time that the Virgin Islands have a madras that should be one. And she said to me, well, why don't we have one? I said, I don't think nobody ever took the time to look into it to see that we get it. So basically she said, let's do it. And we started meeting by my home. We met for about 7 years before it came to something. We decided on putting things up, down, and then when we finally decided what we wanted, I said to them, we cannot have the very madras look like something we have seen before, but it'll be something completely different. And I said, each of the colors must represent some part of Virgin Island history and culture.
And I think that's what makes it so unique.
Yes.
That when you look at the legislation, for example, it clearly explains what each color stands
Signify
for.
what it means, yes, The pink, the Caribbean conch shell, the blue, the deep Caribbean water sea, the green for the sugar cane, each one of them have a meaning.
Mm-hmm.
Each one of those colors represents something, you know.
When you were writing quadrille, and to me, this book now is the definitive guide to quadrille for generations, and I think it'll stand the test of time. Was there anything that you left out?
No, I think we covered just about everything that we wanted to cover. The only thing that we didn't put in this book that I think we need to put in it is we talked about the Lancers quadrille, which is the French lancier, and that is the formal way of dancing quadrille, and that is a special dance in itself where it is performed with the band. The dancers are trained to do it without a floor master. The music tells them what to do and when to do it, how to move. And I think that we should document that and put it in a book form or audio form, like you mentioned, so that people could see that. And there's also another dance called polo quadrille that we speak about it in the book, but the comments are not in the book. I said that to say that there are several different types of quadrille. Shawna, there's original, polo quadrille, Sir Roger the Cavalry, some people call it Cavalry quadrille, and then the French lancier. And then you have the 7-step, polka, mazurka, the minuet. These are called formal dances, you know, but a lot of people
do all of those dances come from the French roots of quadrille?
Definitely.
Okay.
Definitely. But people are only introduced to the original quadrille, like what you talk about at St. Joe's Hall. They doesn't know beyond that. And the only way they would know beyond that is like joining KC group, II dancers, or the Synchro Heritage dancers, who knows about these other types of dances. And people in the Virgin Islands should be exposed to the other dances besides St. Joe's Hall quadrille.
But it's a good starting point.
Yeah, it is a
It's
good starting point. Yeah.
So when we talk about quadrille, and in your book you talk about, you know, quadrille being the official dance of the Virgin Islands, is quadrille danced anywhere else in the Caribbean?
Yes, it's danced all over the Caribbean, different to the way we do it. Even our sister island and St. Thomas, they dance flat German quadrille, and at St. Croix we do French quadrille. The music is different, the commands are different, and the steps supposed to be different. But even the head ties are not the same. But now St. Thomas are now tying Crucian style of head tie. 'Cause when I was going to St. Thomas 40, 50 years ago to dance quadrille, they used to tie their head tie and stuff it with newspaper.
Okay.
Or brown paper bag.
To keep it stiff?
Yeah, they never starch.
Oh.
That's how I saw them doing it. But now they're starching it the way we do it. So.
But it sounds like there's a history lesson there. So our influence is French.
Yes.
And St. Thomas is German. And we're right next door.
Yeah.
Why is there such a difference?
I think because if the German influence was more stronger in St. Thomas than the French influence in St. Croix. That's what I think. It's like, you know, a lot of people talk about the bambula, but the bambula was much stronger in St. Thomas than it was in St. Croix. At the least, with my interviews with older people, that's what I found out. Yeah.
So you've been in the book, in quadrille, and you have a section where you talk about the calls for quadrille. So you learned to call as a pretty young person. Have you since shared that with anyone else and taught anyone else?
Sure. Case Kendall Henry, everybody knows Casey. And every time he is interviewed, he would always let you know what I learned a lot from Bradley Christian and the Synchro Heritage dancers, because he performed with us. And if he would call me up and ask me questions about quadrille, and I would always answer him to the best of my ability. Whatever knowledge I have, I'm willing to pass on to him or anyone else. Students have called me up to interview me on quadrille, but not to say that they want to learn to do the calling, you know, but they ask about the calling, and I explain to them that calling quadrille, you have to call to the bar of the music. It's timing.
So do you need to be a musician?
No. You just got to know the proper timing. In other words, you can't just get up and say, balance, tourne, prominent. It's timing. Balance, tourne. You see what I'm saying? It's timing. And timing, you, the floor master, have to listen to the music for the bar, and they're going to tell you how to call on the bar. You could train yourself, so it's not a big thing about it, but I've seen people who call and it's just like a race. They're just calling too fast, you know.
What's the thing that you like most about quadrille?
I like most about it is the way how the dancers are trained formally. I don't like to see the wildness in the way people are doing it today. I prefer to see more of the grace and dignified way of doing it. Yeah, because that's the way it should be done.
So for the person who picks up this book, who picks up quadrille, the official dance of the U.S. Virgin Islands, what can they expect to find in the pages?
They could expect to find a true history of the quadrille itself, a true history of a lot of musicians. The Miller brothers is in there, the Simmons brothers. These are quadrille bands, Joe Paris and the Hot Shot, Blinky and the Roadmasters, and there's a history of each of those bands, the members' name and everything. If they're looking about when Stanley started, who the original members are, that is in this book. So they can find a true history of quadrille and the musicians and cultural bearers as well. I don't think we left out any cultural bearers in writing the book. I really don't.
And you made sure to include yourself also as a culture bearer, because
yes,
that's
we
important.
Did. Yes, I did. Yeah.
So in reading quadrille and in dancing quadrille, what's a life lesson that you've learned from quadrille?
I would say my life lesson that I have learned is just dancing it stately. Yeah, I have to stick to that. Yeah, yeah.
For all the people who have approached you over the years and said, Bradley, you should write a book, did you take any words that they said, any advice that they gave you, and incorporate that into your book?
Yes. A lot of them did say to me, when you're writing your book, make sure you list people like Garty Richards, with the Speedy Judge, remember Speedy Judge? She was a good dancer, and in the book, when they mentioned her to me, we have a picture with her dancing in the book. You know, a lot of things that they said to me we took into consideration, and we make sure I was jotting down things that people spoke to me in a book that I had making notes of, and I tried to, if I could, incorporate things that people suggested to me in the book. And some people that bought the book, they call and tell me, I say, you remember what I tell you? I say, yes, I tried, you know. And they say, thank you, and I'm glad you remember to put so-and-so in the book. And they said, a lot of people said that you ought to be commended because reading this book, they said, this is just document for the Virgin Islands. We had former Governor Charles Turnbull, educator, historian. He researched the book before we printed it. He called it the Quadrille Bible.
I would agree.
Yeah, Mario Moorhead, who's a historian, he said this is the Quadrille Encyclopedia. That's what they refer to it as. And Dr. Gilbert Sproul from St. John, he also did a review of the book for us, and all of them highly, highly praise and recommend that the book, that everybody buy a copy.
So when you published, you have, you just mentioned 3 stellar, stalwarts of our community. What was the response from the general community when your book became available?
It went like hot bread.
Yeah.
Yes, as when it came out, we saw like the first 300 copy went, I would say, within 2 weeks. And then we added more. We went to St. Thomas, and with Valvika Bryson took me over to do a program, and I took some books over, and I didn't take enough out of what I went with, sold over there one time. So the book really has been a very good seller. We had a few books left, and Alvin had decided he would go along, Felix said, and advertise on Facebook that he was selling them, and the response was very good. He did get a good bit of them gone. So we kind of have to, like, we order some now.
Okay.
We have a few, but not much.
Did you have a close circle of family or friends who help you put all the documentation together? Because you have so many photographs, so many stories. So did you have people who help you get your book to the finish line?
Definitely. Dr. Yvonne Williams helped me a lot with the book. Alvin Milligan, Gloria Bell, a lot of the members of the St. Croix Heritage Dancers. As you suggest, as you asked with the pictures and stuff, they help go through all the pictures that got. The St. Croix Heritage Dancers have a lot of pictures because over the years we have kept a lot of balls. And we took pictures of all the balls of the different dances. So we had a group of people that assisted in selecting the pictures. For instance, when we say balancé, we had to have pictures that coincide with what balancé was and things like that. And then what we also did, we went to Fort Frederick one Saturday and actually took photographs of the different commands that were given to go with the book. So that was done
Which I thought was important. I learned to dance quadrille from you when I was probably in 5th grade.
Yes, I remember.
And haven't danced it in a while, but it's like riding a bicycle.
Yes, once you start, they're going to come back.
It does come back.
Yeah.
And in reading your book, which I thoroughly enjoyed, I was reminded of a life lesson of quadrille, that even when you're going in the wrong direction, there's always somebody to gently steer you in the right direction.
Yes, definitely.
So you are such a busy person, Bradley. How do you find time? How did you find the time to do everything you do and still put together the Bible of quadrille?
Because, well, I guess it takes dedication. I was dedicated to getting this book done, and I just had to find the time to bring it to a finish. Because like you said, I'm a busy person. I do a lot of baking and stuff, bake cakes and stuff for people. So I'm very busy doing that. But then at some point in time, I had to say, no, this has to come to a finish. And one or two people came on the weekends and sat with me and make sure we put everything that needed the finishing product together.
So this is a labor of love.
It's a labor of love.
It's a labor of love.
Definitely.
And I totally agree. It's been a pleasure to learn more about our local talent, Bradley Christian, and his book, Quadrille, the official dance of the U.S. Virgin Islands. For more information on this book or any of the books featured on this program, visit our website at www.wtjx.org. We appreciate your support of our local authors, and we'll see you next week when we take another book from the Bookcase.
The views expressed on this program are not necessarily those of WTJX, its board, staff, or underwriters. This program was underwritten in part by
Janelle Encarnacion Art
and viewers like you.